by using human rights. I don't believe that neither salvation nor human life as such would be carried by human rights. Simply, human rights are rights. They do not carry life as such. Furthermore, in relation to Kalaitzidis, I would say that the problem of Orthodox churches could be addressed in a more precise manner. I think the problem of Orthodox churches is the hard time of making a differentiation between holistic claims of a particular religion and truly universal claims carrying humanity. That's the same distinction that has been made in the early church by the Catholic identity of the church and the church involvement in the ecumenical inhabited world. As a lay theologian in the ecumenical movement, you're often asked to give a theological perspective of different questions. Ecological questions, financial questions, and so forth. But what does it mean to give a theological perspective? The main issue after reading these two papers of these two gentlemen is the question, is there a need for a theological perspective in relation to human rights? Everything could of course be related to theology, but ought everything be related to theology? In this brief moment of reflection, I will suggest a leavening between human rights, collective rights, and theology. Let's begin with the first leavening, the difference between human rights and collective rights. The idea of collective rights has to do with the difference between international rights and human rights. Most international rights are conferred by international law on corporate entities, such as states and international organizations. These corporate entities are legal personalities that are social and legal constructions. They often don't exist in reality. Human rights instead confer directly on human beings without the interposition of legal personalities vis-à-vis a corporate identity, mostly the state. The intention by having direct rights of human beings is to infer limitations on the power of the states. The difference between international rights and human rights could be deduced from a classical liberalism, going back to the basic idea of Rousseau, that the state prevails not on the will of the majority, but on the general will of the people, and therefore there must be no partial associations in the state. And this has further bearings on the need for civil religion, for sustaining the general will for religious and moral ideals. John Stuart Mill also argued that free institutions require a united public opinion and would be next to impossible if a country would be made up by different nationalities. Lord Acton challenged this view, arguing that this would violate the rights of nationalities by the subordination of nations not associated with the state. Lord Acton was living in the shadow of the British Empire and was highly pessimistic about power as a human resource, attributed with the famous saying, "The danger is not that a particular class is unfit to govern. Every class is unfit to govern." He's also attributed with saying that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Power is not only the capability of committing punitive sanctions, but also involves the power of addressing the majority with perspectives taken for granted that diminishes minorities. Lord Acton was most sensitive towards this perspective and said, "The one pervading evil of democracy is the tyranny of a majority, or rather of that party, not always the majority, that succeeds by force